Clara and Me's Diner. An impossible spin-off? In the midst of Russell T Davies expanding the Hooniverse, there is one spin-off I would be hell-bent on seeing. Besides the rumored Kate Stewart Una one, that is, because there is so much they can do with that character, and they can totally have a plot around building up her team again after the Grand Serpent and Power of the Doctor stuff. Seriously, I rewatched some of her stuff, and apparently she has daughters. And Ravens of Death. Which, yeah, leads me to the spin-off that I know can't or won't ever happen. After the events of the Series 9 finale episode, it is supposed that Clara and Ishildur have some adventures in their diner TARDIS on the way back to Gallifrey. I would like, desperately want, and tragically need to see their adventures, and not just because I am queer. But because I am queer, I am well acquainted with disappointment. So before I get into why and how this spin-off could be phenomenal, let's set our expectations, shall we? This spin-off will likely never happen for 4 reasons. First and foremost, Jenna Coleman and Maisie Williams are really fucking busy, and rightly so, since they're both very impressive actresses and have loads of new opportunities awaiting them. And I, for one, could never deny them a chance of working at something new and brilliant, because they deserve it, and I would love to get into some new media lately. Thanks to Jenna Coleman, I already have. Secondly, Russell T Davies is at the helm again, and he wants to do new things, which equally scares and excites me. We're all rooting for you, Russell T Davies. Plus, I don't know if Stephen Moffat, the man who created the roles of Clara, Oswald, and Ishildur, would allow Russell T Davies to use his characters. Well, I feel like he would, since they're pals and believe in each other and all that goody stuff, but Moffat would have to have the final say with them. If not for Moffat's sake, then maybe mine, since I believe he would end them in the way he intended and wants, which would feel genuine on my behalf and leave nothing up to chance. But, of course, Moffat likely wouldn't come back to write, since he's done with the Doctor Who scene and just wants to be a fan again. Which, fair. You worked hard, Moffat. You worked so fucking hard. Lastly, doing this spin-off would be hard to justify to the BBC. Partially because it would make viewers have to rewatch Ishildur's story, and it may not be accessible to new viewers. Also partially because that diner set is going to be hard to bring back, even though it could be used as a sense of surreal humor, and just would be very fun to experiment with. But mainly because, and sadly because, Clara is the most hated companion of modern Who. I fucking love her, and I think she's fantastic, and I know there are other Clara fanatics out there, but with the unpopularity, the BBC is going to get a bit of heat. And after Chibnall's era, and the original Hellbent reaction, and a lot of other stuff happening at the BBC is going to try to remain as cool as a cucumber right now. Not to mention, if the BBC take the show in the queer direction, which I hope they would, they will eventually have another bury your gays trope on their hands. And I do believe if they played it right, like the gay book, they both die at the end, it wouldn't be as controversial. Hopefully. But you know the BBC, that fickle media machine. However, if there ever was a convergence of all these events, if risks could be taken, I know that this spinoff would be heavily rewarded. Because it's the perfect setup. You already have the beginning and you already have the ending. Clara dying on Trap Street. And the middle is full of meaning, because Ishildur knows summer doesn't last forever, and Clara knows how precious her time left is. These are travelers that know the tragedy of time, and in a single season, the viewers will learn that too. What I propose, I'll get into in a second, but if you want to market the show, you only need to remember famous actors playing queer women, dealing with the dark reality of death, of it being sad and beautiful, of their time together being sad and beautiful. Also, it's fucking Doctor Who related, so is marketing really that difficult? I mean, I know we had some troubles with the whole Doomsday thing, but not Doomsday. Is it called Doomsday? It's the character of Doom when they're doing the whole part story thing. It's not important. Because what I'm trying to get at, and what I propose, is a single season that culminates in the finale of Clara's demise by Raven. I don't want her to be saved by the 12th Doctor, or swapped out with a frickin' Tesseract. I don't want her to have hope on the scaffold. I want her choices to be respected, as would Ishildur. However, by the time her death arrives, there should be some major elements at play. Mostly, her relationship with Ishildur. It needs to invest the viewer so that when Clara dies, both the viewer and Ishildur's heart are breaking. I hope the writers will make their relationship queer and canon, especially given the flirting across multiple episodes. I don't expect their relationship to be perfect or lovey-dovey, though, because as similar as they are both very different, to each other's dismay and delight. Due to these differences, how they interact with the world and each other leaves the door open for a lot of dark theming. Clara would be the mortal element, reminding Ishildur of how precious life is to the Mayfly, and how Clara continues her arc of becoming the Doctor could become problematic or even trauma-inducing for Ishildur. Also, even though Ishildur is a fairly developed character, like the Doctor, it'd be really interesting to see who she's become by the end of the universe and what she's gone through to do so. I would personally hate having flashback sequences since their dialogue would be enough, and these two characters excel at their dialogue. To see how they grow together, what effect their possible unconventional love could have on each other, all the while having that dark undertone of every story possibly being their last. It would be very compelling. As for the nature of the episodes, it would be what Torchwood attempted and then succeeded in with Children of the Earth by becoming the dark and adult version of Doctor Who. However, instead of remaining on Earth with sexy times, Clara and Ishildur would just have normal Doctor Who adventures without the necessity of sex to be adult, because traveling in space and time would be enough. Surely an immortal will have some recommendations of where to go. But, and most importantly, the underlying theme would be the perception of death and dying. Every episode would confront the theme, adding the character and situational nuance, a lot like the four relationships during Clara and 12's tenure, hopefully allowing Clara to come to terms with her death again, similar to Mark Gatiss' Lethbridge Stewart character in Twice Upon a Time. She could accept it, revel in it, and become reckless, see it as beautiful as well as necessary, have her and Ishildur see all angles of grief and death and rebirth and life. What is life without a heartbeat? Without the ability to age and remember? Without the end that makes everything mean something? Or mean whimsically nothing? These mental, emotional, and philosophical journeys into the foray of death would be what this show is all about. And how it builds up to a finale of tears. I would cry at this. Watch this. I would love to see the depth Doctor Who writers could delve into with this type of close-knit story. Because even though we know how it ends, like with River Song, it doesn't make the journey unimportant. It recontextualizes and brings about a stigmatized discussion we in the privileged world desperately need to have. Love and death is all that matters in the end, really. Without death, the choice of companion for life loses meaning. And without love, death will not become grief, and moments would not be worth living. And if this spin-off of two competent companions could embody that, enrich it, and realize all the potential begging to be rewritten, I would love to see it. I'm sure I have many other thoughts about this topic, but we're going to stop here before I go crazy. Because no one needs to know how much I know, especially given that I remember their terrible ship names of Clarshilder or Clarmy. Also, happy Pride! This is my one and only video for it, so sorry, it's a bit sad. But it's hopeful, it's life. I don't... Would you want to watch this show I've proposed? Or what would you want to happen in it? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching my video. And I'm rhyming again. That's fine. That's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, we're all gonna be okay. Okay. Bye!